Hey guys, I am Tyler with Secure Team, and we've got an amazing news story just breaking throughout the online community. Plankton found in space. As in, there are sea creatures, microplankton, that have been discovered living on the exterior of the ISS, or International Space Station. Let me just say first, wow. This is real news here, people, and the ramifications of the fact that they found these sea plankton not only on the exterior of the ISS, but living on the exterior of the ISS, in space, despite the total vacuum, the non-existence of oxygen, and the cosmic radiation. These things are surviving on the outside of the windows of the International Space Station, and they are confirmed to have not been carried there by any of the spacecrafts at launch. To quote the article, "Traces of plankton and other microorganisms have been found living on the exterior of the International Space Station, according to Russian space officials. They claim that the plankton were not carried there at launch, but are thought to have been blown there by air currents on Earth. Incredibly, the tiny organisms were found to be able to survive in the vacuum of space despite the freezing temperatures, lack of oxygen, and cosmic radiation. The discovery was made during a routine spacewalk by Russian cosmonauts, who were launching nanosatellites into space. They used wipes to polish the surface of windows, also known as illuminators, on the Russian segment of the ISS, and later found the presence of plankton and other microorganisms using high-precision equipment. The results of the experiment are absolutely unique," said the head of the Russian ISS orbital mission, Vladimir Solovev. "We have found traces of sea plankton and microscopic particles on the illuminator surface. This should be studied further. The plankton are not known to be indigenous to Kazakhstan, where the Russian modules of the station blasted off from. Experts have also claimed that the plankton were not carried there at launch either, because they are marine microorganisms not indigenous to the blastoff site, and are thought to have been blown there by air currents on the Earth. An SEM microscope view here of one type of plankton, not discovered on the ISS, is pictured." Mr. Solovev is not absolutely sure how these microscopic particles could have appeared on the surface of the space station, according to the Russian news agency ITAR-TASS, but he thinks that they may have been uplifted to the station at an altitude of 260 miles, or 420 kilometers. "Plankton in these stages of development could be found on the surface of the oceans," he said. "This is not typical for Kazakhstan. It means that there are some uplifting air currents which reach the station and settle on its surface." NASA is yet to comment on what this might mean for the American segment of the ISS and whether similar findings have been made in the past. So the Russian officials are stating that air currents might have carried these organisms to the ISS. Only there is one little problem with that. There is no air in space, especially at the heights that the International Space Station sits above the Earth. There is no air in space. Wind cannot travel from Earth to orbital heights. There's space wind, but that's coming in, not out. On the other hand, as science is starting to learn, water, or the components for it, are being constantly ejected by stars. Add in a little electricity, which is abundant in space, and the hydrogen and oxygen molecules will combine into water. Add to that the studies that have been shown that space dust is primarily freeze-dried bacteria, and perhaps the truth is that our universe is a continuously propagating life generator. The ingredients are literally everywhere. Perhaps life in space is the rule, not the exception. And this finding right here may make more people question NASA's denial that evidence of life was found on Mars in the 1970s, as documented by one researcher. I am Tyler with Secure Team. Be sure to check back, share, and subscribe because we are definitely looking out for truth seekers like you. Stay safe, guys.